Hey Yash, could you hear me?
Hello, hello, how are you? Yeah.
I'm doing great. So the timing is not the best for us because it's like events are starting inside part for DEF Connect, DEFCON,
Oh,
sorry. um, so
are
yes,
you,
I mean
are you
events.
currently in Bangkok as well?
Sorry?
Are you currently in Bangkok as well?
Yeah, I'm in Bangkok. And you?
Uh, yeah, same. I'm in Bangkok too.
Yeah, what are you doing today?
So today I just went and did some touristy places like the Wat Pho Temple and the Grand Palace. So
Okay,
yeah, it
nice,
was
nice
yeah.
location. Sure. So Eh, all workshops are recorded because the community is global. So it's normal if we don't have too much people today, around 20 to 30 every day. But today I don't know how much, so probably you can start, I guess. Like I said, everything is recorded, and we will send a report by email to all participants, and they have as well a notion. So yeah, since how much time are you working with the graph?
Yeah, so it has been like I joined in February, so like
Oh, soon.
8, 9 months. I just graduated last year and I've been working as a community member or as an advocate for like 6 to 8 months. And then when the position opened up, they directly referred me, and here I am. It was a pretty crazy
Oh,
like
congrats.
ride.
Really nice, really nice. Okay. So are you like community members through Hackathon, etc. before?
No, so I was doing a lot of things previously, like joining a lot of communities, like Learn Web3, then there was Meta School.
Okay.
So I did a
Ah,
lot
mais
of
that's cool
things,
with
and then
Sneha. You know Sneha? Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Friend.
Yeah,
She's my friend.
yeah. So yeah, so that's how I've been like in a lot of communities, and then I stumbled upon the graph, and I met some of the people, and that was that was in my college time, and when I met them, I decided this is where I want to work one day. So yeah, I channeled my energy into that, and yeah, couldn't be more excited to be here.
Super nice. Okay. So let's start. I will. Mm, uh,
How much time do I got?
you have 30 minutes, right? Feel free.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So I'll just start
Just,
with sharing
just
my
be,
screen
be
first.
efficient and showcase the bounty for is global. And yeah, that's all.
Awesome. So let me start by sharing my screen. Let me know if it's visible.
Yeah. All good.
Awesome. So we can start. Awesome. Let me just take care of this too. Cool. So hello everyone. My name is Yash Jagtap, and currently I'm working as the tech support engineer at the Graph. So today we'll look into the introduction to subgraph development and querying, and what exactly is the graph protocol and what problem is it solving. So let's get started. It was not going further. Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned, I work as a tech support engineer, and I joined like 8, 9 months ago, and with a pretty awesome team, and we are building the graph. So today I'll walk you through what is the graph, what and why this is into existence, and what is the need of this. Then I'll walk you through the configuration and architecture, how this works. And if time permits, we'll also deploy a subgraph using Scaffold ETH and Subgraph Studio. So yeah, 30 minutes is a way less time, but yeah, I'll try to be efficient as much as possible. Cool. So if you have played around with Scaffolded, it is my go-to tool to create applications, if you have played around. So it gives you a nice boilerplate scaffolded project, including your favorite tools already embedded into it. So for example, it uses Next.js, Rainbow Kit for wallet, then Hard Hat Foundry for smart contracts, and WAGMI or TypeScript for your front end. So it gives you a nice mixture of both front end and blockchain data interaction and interoperability between those. So feel free to use this. Their docs are amazing, and it's a pretty amazing tool that I'll also show you. So yeah, let's start with why do we need data indexing? So as you know, uh, with a blockchain, continuously thousands and lakhs of transactions are done on every blockchain at every single second. But why? So the indexing is like taking all of that data and putting it in a structured manner in order to retrieve that. So consider an example, let's say Google. So when you put something on the Google, let's say H.E.R, so what will come up is basically the website of H.E.R and what it actually does. So in a similar way, how this is happening is basically the Google has all of this data indexed into their servers. That is, there's huge data centers, and all of the data that we are searching for is indexed in their servers. But for blockchain, there is no such thing, right? Because it is all random data of different applications, different smart contracts, and different transactions. So the graph comes here as the solution with the data indexing and querying platform. So yeah, as I mentioned, so this is something called as transactions continuously keeps happening on the blockchain, and it is a command to write something on the blockchain. So what I mean here is that writing to a blockchain is changing the state of the blockchain and modifying it, and a lot of nodes come into the consensus and agree to that particular transaction. So it is continuously being bombarded with the right operations and with transactions. So another thing is events. And so if you've written Solidity before, uh, there is something called as events written in Solidity, which logs the information of every single transaction that are being used. So these are super useful, and the graph uses these as well very efficiently to exactly get the data of the transaction that happened. So this is the basic crux of what the events do. Then, yeah, so as I mentioned, this is one of the example of the data storage of an NFT contract. So this is an example of the crypto punks. So as you can see, there are a lot of owners of all different crypto punks that are out there, and they have their metadata or the information about every single minute detail stored on the blockchain in random blocks. So you can look at this as an example of having all that data, and this Google Excel sheet as like the graph who collects everything under one umbrella, in from which it is easily accessible to index and query. So yeah, the problem with the data on the blockchain, which I've already talked about, is basically continuous transactions on the blockchain happening and no one to index those. So this is one of the major problems that the graph is solving. Then yeah, to make it more visually simplistic, you can check these protocols that are out there. So here there's UMA protocol, we have MakerDAO, Uniswap, Aave. So here I'll help you visualize what is happening. So you can consider these particular single lines as the transactions happening in the blocks. And as you can see, this is super random, right? Because let's say this is block one, two, three, and then again, if consider Uniswap, this is the third block. Yeah, third block in which the Uniswap transaction happened. But then there is nothing for the next five blocks, and then you have again the Uniswaps, right? But again, this is too distorted, and to bring this under one, the graph comes into the picture. Right. So without the graph, this is how the initial or the architecture of an decentralized application looks like. So you have a blockchain where all of the backend or the transactions or all sort of interactions are happening, and those are happening to the user interface. right? So as you can see, it is a decentralized loaded UI that is directly interacting with the blockchain. So which uses so you have to make those RPC calls to get the data from the blockchain directly. But with the graph, say as an example, the blockchain is right optimized and incentivized database. So reading from as the blockchain is heavily distorted, the it is in reading is very slow from the blockchain to get the exact query details or the data that basically you want. So this is where the graph enters the picture. Another important thing is the historical data. So let's say, as you know, the graph from the genesis till the current block, which is just continuously keeps on increasing and increasing. The graphs also makes it super easy to get the historical data and thus keep the provenance between the data that is actually, if it's correct, and it can go up to like thousands and lakhs of millions of blocks behind to fetch that particular data for you. And all of these have the happens through a subgraph, which I'll show you next. So yeah, again, this comes in the picture as this is one of the blockchain and a lot of data is out there and we have to just index that. So yeah, coming back to this particular piece of code, what is happening here is basically if you don't use the graph or subgraph, this is how you actually get a data from the blockchain. So for example, here I have written a function of get the token IDs by owner. So let's say there is an NFT contract and you want to get the token IDs of those NFTs by one particular owner. So this is what you have to write in order to get those token IDs. So I won't won't go ahead and explain this code, but yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory of what is happening. And later I'll show you how you can use the graph to get this exactly. Yeah. So currently, the graph is a decentralized indexing and querying protocol with 100 plus indexers, which are basically the nodes running the graph node and indexing the data on the blockchains with the subgraphs that you write. Then we have 170K plus delegators, which delegate to these 100 plus indexers for the security purposes. Then we have curators. With these are basically uh, people or the wallet addresses that signal or they identify the valuable subgraphs and they get incentivized from the query fees which the indexers essentially served. Then we have 9K plus subgraphs. So currently, uh, we have a subgraph registry. So as the graph is a decentralized protocol, it has a registry of all the subgraphs. And currently, we have around 9,000 plus subgraphs deployed on the graph network. So, according to the latest stats, what we have seen is across these thousands of applications which use the graph under the hood, they are making around 1 billion queries per day. So this is a major milestone of everyone moving towards decentralization and using these products which are super efficient. Awesome. Yeah. So as I talked about this particular problem, and so the solution here comes is this particular chunks of data under the hood that I was talking about. So in this particular previous example, as you can see, a lot of different transactions happening in a lot of different blocks. Here with the graph, everything comes under one particular uh under one umbrella, and from where you can easily query and index those contracts under your particular smart contract or the application that you want to index. Okay, so the previous code which I showed you, which was a lot of JavaScript code. So with the subgraphs, you just write simple queries where, so considering the same example which I showed you, getting the token IDs of the owner. Here is a query that you write to get the NFTs of particular owner. You just specify the name, then the type of the data that we want to get back, and the exact data that we want to get from the blockchain, which we have discussed or which we have coded in our subgraph. So this makes it super efficient and easy to read as well. So definitely this uses GraphQL language, so which is getting the exact data that you need. So this makes it super easy, as you can see, just to get the data that we want. Let me just get rid of this. Yeah, awesome. So the initial DApp architecture which I showed you was just the user interface and the blockchain. And currently, what everyone is doing, almost everyone, is using this modern architecture, adding the graph as their indexing layer. So earlier we had your interface and blockchain, and now everything is happening through the graph where it is indexing the blockchain data, and we are using the GraphQL queries to query that particular subgraph and get it on your front end, which also makes it super fast, which was slow when you were directly querying on the blockchain. And so, as you can see, it can get data from any blockchain that you want. And as it is EVM compatible, we have 70, 80 plus chains supporting subgraphs. Okay, so now let's look at the configuration and architecture of how subgraphs work. So subgraph are essentially the APIs that you build to index your particular smart contracts or the IPFS files that you want. So yeah, Graph also indexes the off-chain data from IPFS as well as Arweave, and you can use a mixture of both to create really good quality applications. So what a subgraph consists of is basically three most important files. So first one is the manifest or subgraph.yaml, where you define the data source that of the subgraphs that you want to of the smart contracts that you want to index. So here you mention all of the smart contract address, then the block in which it was deployed, and the boilerplate of what is happening inside the subgraph, all the details about the data sources in this manifest. Second part is the entities, and entities is what you can look at as a data structure of what data you want to retrieve from the blockchain. So let's say for as an example, I can give you is, let's say, entity of a pool. So Uniswap pool. So it will have address one, then token. So in a pool, there are multiple tokens. So you can just specify which token number zero, token number one, and then any other addresses that have interacted with those tokens. So in a way, you get your freedom. You can customize all of this particular based on your wish to structure your data according to your needs. And the last file, which is the most important, is the mapping.ts, in which you write the logic for this to work. So essentially, what it does is it translates the data from your data source or the events that I mentioned earlier, or any general data source that we mentioned into the manifest to the entities which we have defined here in our schema as our data structure. So all you have to do is take care of these C files and you're good to go. And I'll just show you quickly of how simple it is within a few commands to set this whole thing up, and you can get started. All right, so now let's coming part to the how the data is processed in a subgraph. So here you can, as I mentioned, you can look at it as the events in Solidity that you write in your smart contracts, or the off-chain data, which is the IPFS or Arweave. And as you can see, this data are written in a Postgres. So all of this is happening under the hood, and indexers take care of this, which you don't have to. So all you have to do is basically write code events or the data that you want to index. You write the data structure and you write the logic for that, and in the assembly script. And all of this is stored written to a PostgreSQL database, which is the indexers part, which you don't have to worry about. So yeah, so in detail, what happens is, well, let's say you as a consumer, you make the GraphQL request, the or the queries which I showed you earlier, which makes it super simple to get any kind of data that we want from the blockchain. And as indexers run this particular graph node, what they do is they, as the data is stored in a PostgreSQL database, they make a SQL query to that database, then they get a SQL response back. But you as a consumer do GraphQL request and get the GraphQL response as your output. So all of this middle part and the last part, which you don't have to worry about, you just make uh, you just write subgraphs and write the request in GraphQL, and you get the data in the GraphQL response, which is super easy to read, and you can manipulate your data based on your needs. So yeah, that's essentially the crux of what is happening under the hood. So, okay, so this is super complicated, but I'll simplify it again. So here you can see there's an application. Then we do transactions on that applications via smart contracts. Smart contract have events in them, and there is the database store, which is taking care of all your smart contracts and stuff happening. And then we have a mapping module where you take all of these events and convert them into the WASM modules to query into the graph node. And then what you get is a GraphQL API. So you get a single endpoint from which you can query the application. So yeah, I know this was too fast, but you'll get the crux just by following this path: DApp, transaction, smart contracts. It just goes in and the GraphQL comes out and you can query that. So this was essentially what this does is. So coming to the best part, scaffold ETH with the subgraph package branch. So what we have done, or our engineers have done, is basically with the scaffold ETH, which is already super powerful, have created an extension of subgraph in which, along with the front end and the back end, you also get the graph embedded into it already. So just within a few commands, I'll show you how to get up and started and running. So yeah, let's get started. So let me go ahead and copy this command. I'll open my terminal, zoom in a bit. So I'll just cd into my text. Yeah, I'm into my desktop, and then I'll just paste this command: npx create eth latest dash e subgraph. So dash e subgraph is essentially an extension which imports the subgraph into the scaffold project. So I'll hit enter. Awesome. Yeah. So you have to give your project name. Let's say DAO demo. Then it asks you what type of Solidity framework you want to use. So we have option for Hardhat and Foundry. I have been a long time user of Hardhat, so I use that. So yeah, it's just that and it's done. So what I'll walk you through what is happening now. So it will create a directory of with heard out demo, and it will have packages of next for the front end, and then hard hat for the backend or the smart contracts, and also a subgraph package or a subgraph folder where you can create those APIs to index the smart contracts that you have written and showcase it on your front end. So yeah, what is happening here is now, so as this is a lot to install and build, this takes a good amount of time. So we'll have to wait till then. If anyone has any questions, I can just check. Does anyone have any questions till that gets installed? You can just unmute or type in.
I don't see any question for the moment. That's fine. Nope. People say no.
Also, are you understanding? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow?
I think it's okay in terms of rhythm. All fine.
Okay. Perfect. Oh, okay. So it's done now. So if any one of you is following along, you can just there are just 5 to 7 commands that you have to run and you're all set. So just tell me to stop or unmute if I'm going too fast. So yeah, after running this command, what you can see here is your project has been scaffolded. So I'll now cd into the project and open it in VS Code. So yeah, here you can see the project folder of how it has created. And into the packages folder, you can see three packages of Hardhat, Next.js, and Subgraph. So this essentially came from the extension we used. So if you don't use the extension, you just get the Hardhat and Next.js. So in Hardhat, you just write your contracts over here and deploy using Hardhat. If you know, you can just go ahead from the documentation and follow along. It's great. I use it. Then Next.js for your front end and Subgraph. So let me open my terminal and we'll start the magic. So what you have to do is basically run these three commands one by one. First is yarn chain. So what this does is this starts running a local blockchain basically. So yarn chain, and it will give you 20 accounts to play with, just like Remix, if you have played around with 10,000 ETH in each of them. And you have to keep this tab running because it is a proper blockchain node locally which is running. So I'll open another terminal and I'll do yarn start. What this will do is this will run our application on the localhost 3000. I'll show you how it looks like as well. So yeah, it will take some time to build. Starting, and after compiling the website, it will run the basic scaffolded project. So what we did was yarn chain for the blockchain and yarn start for our front end to end to load. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So this is how the front end looks like. It comes with a nice connect wallet button already, and you get debug contracts full tab and a subgraph tab, and get started by build editing. So under this Next.js, you can just start editing your front end if you want. Then you can edit your smart contracts from the Hardhat folder, right? So now let me go ahead and deploy a contract. So that's also super simple. Just go and do yarn deploy. So what will happen here is we already have a boilerplate contract here called your contract.sol, which is basically a simple greeter contract, if I imagine. Yeah, so it's just a greeting contract. And what this will do is this will be deployed to the local blockchain and we can index it later. So yeah, so what this has done is this has deployed with this transaction hash and deployed it over here. Yeah, it's pretty neat, right? You all get so if you want to write your own smart contract, which you will do, so you just go ahead and edit this particular solidity file and add your particular application or the backend of on solidity files and just hit yarn deploy, and it will deploy all the contracts which you have written. So let me go ahead and check. Yeah, so you also get the cache and artifacts folder after deploying. And then now what I'll do is I'll paste these commands into chat as well. Oh, I think it's how do I do this to everyone? Meet in group chat. Ah, yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I ran yarn chain, which you have to keep open. Then I ran yarn start for the front end, yarn deploy to deploy the contracts. Also, you have to keep the yarn start running to so as it's a front end, it will keep running. Now we'll run the yarn run node. I have copied it and I'll okay, where's my VS Code? Awesome. Yarn run node. So what is happening here is if I go to the subgraph package, you can see there's a folder called graph node. So with the graph node, it is running a local graph node under the hood with this particular yarn run node. And this will take care of the smart contracts that you deployed. And for this to run successfully, you will need to Docker install in your computer. So I'll just show you that as well. So this is basically running a local graph node in your computer, and whatever data that you want to index from there, you can do that. So after running graph node, yarn run node, what you do is local create, and you can see here what the local create does. So local create will create a scaffold. Basically, it will initialize your subgraph for the contract that you have deployed. So I'll open another terminal here and put yarn local create. Awesome. So yeah, it has created, initialized my subgraph. And last is yarn local ship. Yarn local ship. I hit enter here. So as you can see here, what local ship does is it will get the API of the smart contract which we have deployed. It will do code gen and build. It will use the network as a local host because it's local, and it will deploy the subgraph locally. So now this is asking me which version label you want to use. So I'll just give version 0.1. And now this will deploy this particular subgraph. And the endpoint which I talked about, you can see here, this is the endpoint of the subgraph that you get, and this is where you can query for the data. So let me go ahead and let's do some transactions for this particular subgraph for the greeting contract. So Erda is amazing. And yeah, you can also do some sort of transactions here. So I'll send, okay, sender doesn't have enough funds to send. Awesome. Yeah. Another thing about scaffold lead, another amazing thing. You get the burner wallets, which you can easily, which are super handy for development. And you can just click on here to get funds. And now you have 1 ETH in your burner wallet. If you go to, say, another incognito, it will give you another wallet with another burner address. So you can just play around. So if you're developing locally, so you can just play around with multiple accounts and check for the app, for the working of your app. All right. So we have 1 Ether now. Now I can send these transactions. Now you can see this greeting has been changed to this. And under the subgraph directory, if I scroll down, you can see this is the data that we indexed. So I'll show you the query for this as well as how the endpoint is being used. So if I go into the project structure, under the Next.js folder, you will go to the comp app, then subgraph, and then components, scaffold. So here is the endpoint which I talked about is already provided, which it took from our deployment over here, this one. And what you're essentially doing is querying this particular endpoint. Let me just go to this URL as well. So this will give you an interface to play around with the queries that you want to do. Uh, yeah. So for the Explorer, you can see if you click on the Explorer, you can check the greetings. And here you can play around. Basically, this is a playground for you to check what sort of queries you want to do. So let's say for the greetings, if we have, as we have already done that, I'll check the greeting. Yeah, and that was amazing. It came up. So this is what it took from the blockchain and indexed it and showed it in our front end over here. So this is pretty much how it has made our whole application development process easier with scaffold lead and this particular subgraph package. And yeah, let me show you the query as well. Uh, so the query, yeah, this is the graph client. s.ts. Let me just search if this is. Uh, okay, awesome. So here you can see we have written a basic query of greetings as from here, greetings, which is name of our entity. And then what we're doing is fetching the first 25 queries. We have select some filters of order by, then order direction, and these are the values that we want to get. So yeah, this is pretty much amazing. So this is what you have to write just to query the data from the blockchain that you have written. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it of what I wanted to share and what things you can do with scaffold ETH and subgraphs and the graph. So yeah, thank you. So if you have any questions, let me
Someone
know.
got an error after running yarn local trades.
Okay, what is the error? Eight. Oh, I'm not aware of this error. Okay. So do you have the Docker running? As I mentioned, you'll have to. Okay. Yeah, I think so I tried this yesterday and I tried updating the Docker and then it worked. So if you can try updating the Docker and then deploy again and then run the run node and local create, it should work. If not, I'll just give you my Telegram, hit me up and we'll take care of this. So yeah, for reaching out, you can just this is my Telegram which I have given. You can just hit me up with any issues that you come up with. And we have, if you join our Discord, we have support engineers 24/7 to help you with your subgraph development or anything that you want to learn. So yeah, feel free to hit me up or to join us at Discord and yeah, keep building.
Nice. Thank you very much for your complete workshop using Scaffold as well with the graph extension. Um, because like we wanted to during whole workshop during this week, we wanted to showcase Scaffold Eats as the main repo to start for the Is Global Eats Hackathon. Is Global Hackathon. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, so yeah, also for the ETH Global Hackathon, the graph is sponsoring $10,000 in prizes, and
If you
you can just basically,
if you
yeah,
could
go ahead, sorry.
share the
Yeah, I think I got it. The
um
price page.
yeah, but the judge criteria about the hackathon.
Okay, let me just I don't want to get it wrong, so I'll just confirm the exact price details, and I'll tell you some maybe hacks of how the projects that we want to use or we want to see. Okay, prices. It's the graph. Here it is. Yeah, so we have best use of the graph, and first place is 3K, 2K, and then we have two or 1,500 each. And you can just read here more about to be eligible. You need to use subgraph in your dApp, and you also may use either from the existing one. Yeah. So the subgraph registry, which I talked about, the graph, which is the Graph Explorer, you can just go to the graph.com/explorer, and here you can check out the subgraphs that have been built by the protocols and which are actually in used in production by a lot of these teams. And the 1 billion queries which are happening is every day is essentially happening on all of these subgraphs. So yeah, currently we are at 9836 subgraphs, so which is a pretty good number. So, and every day people are just publishing their subgraph and using it in their application. So, how you can use these subgraphs as another coming develop from another protocol or another project is, let's say if you want to use the Uniswap subgraph. So this is being developed by the Uniswap team and the builders DAO team, which we have. Is so here is also a playground where you can play around with the queries. And then if you scroll down, you will see the query URL format. So the query which I show you to use over here, the local HTTP. Wait, where was it now? Yeah, over here where you mention this particular endpoint, all you have to do is use this particular endpoint with the API keys, which you can get from again graph.com/studio/API keys. And you can just put it there, structure your query according to your needs, and get the data directly on your front end or your application. And then another thing what we have done here is given you the example usage of how you can use this. So most of you use Next.js and React. So you can just go ahead and copy this and put this in your code and you can directly get that data. So this is the URL, this is the query. You just have to update the query with the API and the API key and you're good to go. So this is also a neat interface that you can check out if you want to use this in your front end. And we have docs to take care, which pretty much tells you everything how it is done. So under the developing, this will tell you how to develop your own subgraph. And under querying, it will help you with how to query the subgraphs and querying best practices. This is also what we love to see, and querying from the applications. So this is essentially, this will guide you through the whole system of how these things work. And we also have cookbooks. Oh yeah, there's a section called cookbook. And here you can see the subgraph best practices. So we want users or developers to use these practices, which is one. We have currently 4 out. Pruning, then best from derived from. You can just read through that and I you will understand most of it because we have an amazing team who have written this in a very good manner with proper examples as well. So I hope you make use the best use of the docs and you can get your answers anyways over there. But if not, we're always there to help you. And yeah.
Yes, it's a party. So that's why the light up like that. Yes, this party is just upstairs. But I need the,
Okay.
like a space. I don't know why my camera is like that. Oh, okay, it's better like that. Nice. Thank you very much, Yash, for your workshop. Don't hesitate if you have any question. Um, all good for the graph. Um, right now, I would like to talk about the hackathon. So just to know, everyone is participating to is global as well.
Okay.
Like I'm asking for participants.
Ah,
Oh, you don't have a spot? You will not have. Like
let me
yesterday, I have fast
till
tracked people for joining is global, but they have like more than 1,000 people in a waiting list.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean, this is one of the biggest yet. So
yeah,
a lot of people have flown in from a lot of like
so it's
all over the world.
super hard to be at is global. So that's why I'm asking who get a spot at is global. like Akash, Lavender, Kismet, Christine, Ozuma, Priscilla, Zenat. Okay, I can help now. Okay, okay, got it. Because I would like
So
to talk
I
about,
had the graph hackers thing.
yeah.
Like,
A lot of
So
people
I
from ERDAO will be at is global, but I saw that in the chat no one will be really there because of lack of spots. I know it's complicated, but I s- so I think I will be hackathon tips IOL after Orcon or I don't know what is better, because I want to talk with participants. Probably if you are coming at DEF CON, like I will do a special workshop there about hackathon tips. So just to let you know, I've been in hackathon since 3 years right now. 5 times finalist and won more than $70 by 70,000 at hackathons. So I'm used to really go to that.
Mismo.
And
Because al mismo tiempo, so sorry, normalmente.
sorry. Yes. So just if you have any question and you are participate at is global, don't hesitate to let me know. I know any tips that you have to do to succeed at this one. So yeah, just I saw that Sandra maybe will be there. So let's talk IRL about it, rather than spend some time for people who will not be at the hackathon, I guess. So yeah, okay, let's do that. All good for you? Okay, nice. Let's do that. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you.